Comes as intense Israeli airstrikes continue to pound the capitals of Iran and Lebanon. The Israeli military says the fighting has destroyed most of Iran's air defences and missile launchers. The broadening Iran war has ricocheted across the region and beyond, with nearly every country in the Middle East sustaining damage from missile hits, drone strikes or shrapnel. US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has warned that strikes against Tehran are about to surge dramatically.
هيا كمان فوق فوق فوق.
سيارتك في سيارة جاية.
Bro, come, bro. Do lunch. My God. கட் பண்ணு
तक तेज हवा चलने की चेतावनी।
Headlines presented by
this is on a case-by-case basis and a way of, but this is not any sort of a blanket exemption is what we're looking at right now. Nonetheless, a win for India, at least for the time being, as we brace ourselves for global shocks. Kritsween here is also covering more developments for us from inside the studio. It's over to you, Kritsween.
All right, shifting our focus now to how the markets in the latest are responding. Sensex is down by over 225 points is what we're learning. Nifty trading over 80 points down as crude oil prices remain above $100, remember. So once again, with crude oil prices soaring, this is how the market is responding. The sentiment coming in from the Indian markets as we speak. Sensex down by over 225 points. Nifty trading over 80 points. Now, do remember, oil prices have become the biggest variable in the ongoing conflict, and that is clearly indicative in the way the markets have also been responding. Today's figures on your screens, viewers. Sensex down by 225 points. As for Nifty, it's trading over 80 points down. Which, remember, if you compare to the last few days alone, though markets have constantly been opening in red after a one-day relief in between. Do remember when President Donald Trump had clearly indicated that this war may end, we've seen the story remain unchanged. So the volatility, the instability continues. Still, I do want to bring in Sonal Bhutra, CNBC TV 18's colleague, joining us on the broadcast. Good morning, Sonal. You know, we were tracking, or rather analyzing, what the situation has looked like, how the market has been reacting the last 10 days. If you were to just sum it up, given the figures that we're picking up today, the numbers that were flashing on our screens, what's the overall analysis and sentiment? And the story more or less remains unchanged, don't you think? At least to open with, to begin with.
Okay, so yes, the Sensex was down to 25 points. We did see Nifty declining by 80 points as well, but there has been a sharp recovery from the lows. It's a 200-point recovery on the Nifty from the lows of the day. The numbers that we've been talking about, the Nifty, yes, it did break that 23,000 mark. So volatility has been the name of the game since the word go. We were below that 23,000 mark, which is a very important support level, but we have recovered from those levels, and we are up around 10 points on the Nifty as we speak. It is at the 23,172 mark, and a lot of these names from the metals pack are leading the recovery as well. We have the oil and gas names as well, which are doing well. Energy security, I was hearing how there is a container coming in, bringing in energy for the country, and that is something which is a big relief that of course the markets are watching out for as well, because remember, a lot of industries have spoken about how gas supply curbs have impacted their production, be it the chemical space, be it the metal space, be it some of these packaging players as well, and that had impacted impact on multiple sectors. But if there is, of course, continuous flow of energy, this is something that the markets would like for sure. For now, yes, there is recovery from the lows that have come by, but we'll have to see whether that sustains or not, because that is the big question mark. Crude continues to be the big talking point. It has continued to remain above that $100 per barrel mark. We'll see whether more supply coming in would give some reprieve to prices in terms of both oil and gas. But for now, the markets are taking heart from the fact that maybe there's more energy getting available to the country, and that is something that market participants would definitely like to know. Yes, in the green for now, but sustenance of these levels is something we'll be watching out for. Broader markets, so the mid caps and small caps, continue to be under pressure.
Okay, that's great news. You're telling us about the slight recovery that we've seen, and we're talking green now, Sonal. But give us a sense of two things. One, very quickly, you spoke of the energy sector, and with Shivalik already almost back home, Nanda Devi is also returning home tomorrow. So the LPG story is something that the entire country is talking about. How that's reflecting on the markets, that's one. Number two, the Indian rupee has hit a record low. So if you could quickly come in on that and where the situation stands as of now.
Let me start with the rupee story, because we've been seeing rupee at lower levels since last 5 months. It's been hitting new lows every month, and that is a story which is also a result of a lot of FI outflows that we've been seeing from the Indian markets. That continues to be the case yet again. We did see no clarity on India-US tariff considerations or the conversations. That's what the other reason what rupee was watching out for, and that's the reason it continued to see a downfall. And of course, now there's more uncertainty, right? We don't know when the war will get over. We are seeing crude prices going higher, and all of it is, and the dollar moves, of course, that is also something which is impacting what we are seeing in the currency markets. The indication, again, we are not getting any specific number from dealers, but yes, they are expecting some commentary coming in from the RBI. We do have the RBI policy meet in the first week of April, so we'll watch out for more commentary there, whether there'll be an OMO, whether there'll be dollar buying from the RBI. We'll figure that out basis RBI's action. As far as LPG is concerned, now do remember, for retails or households, there's no impact on LPG supplies. It's more commercial, right? And that is where industries are getting impacted. But yes, if there is more supply and the curbs are lifted, that definitely will bring a cheer to markets. So yes, all eyes on what kind of shipments arrive to India as far as LPG or LNG or any form of gas is concerned.
Thank you, Sonal, for rounding that up so beautifully for us to understand really what the situation this morning is like. We'll keep revisiting this with you every few hours. For now, shifting our focus to the 17th day of the ongoing conflict. CNN News 18 remains on the front lines. We continue to get you the reality as it unfolds. The only network with 2 channels reporting from ground zero, where the air is thick with tension. The sound of sirens continue blaring. Our colleague Rifat has been getting us several ground reports amid these blaring alarms, incoming warnings, and civilians scrambling for safety. Let's straight up play out some of these ground reports filed by Rifat.
न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया की टीम पहुंची है ज़रज़र इलाके में। ये नॉर्थ इसराइल में पड़ता है। ये लेबनान बॉर्डर के बिल्कुल करीब वाला इलाका है, और आप देख सकते हैं लेबनान इस साइड से आता है, लेकिन यहाँ पे ईरान की तरफ से दागा गया मिसाइल जो है उसकी वजह से यहाँ पे तबाही हुई है। ये वो स्पॉट है, ये वो गड्ढा है जहाँ पर ईरान की तरफ से दागा गया मिसाइल गिरा, और यहाँ पे इर्द गिर्द बहुत ज़्यादा तबाही मचाई है इस मिसाइल अटैक ने। बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल का अटैक था। मैं यहाँ पे दिखाने की कोशिश करूँगा कि इर्द गिर्द क्या हाल है। तो ये आप देख सकते हैं कि इर्द गिर्द क्या हाल हुआ है। पूरी तबाही हुई है क्योंकि ज़ोरदार मिसाइल अटैक था यहाँ पर, और ये आप इन बिल्डिंग्स को हटाया जा रहा है क्योंकि इसराइल में बहुत जल्द उन बिल्डिंग्स को डिमोलिश किया जाता है जो ईरान के मिसाइल अटैक से या हिजबुल्लाह के अटैक्स में डैमेज हो जाती हैं। इर्द गिर्द काफ़ी बिल्डिंग्स जो हैं वो तबाह हो चुकी हैं, गाड़ियां तबाह हो चुकी हैं, और ये आप देख सकते हैं क्या हाल हुआ है यहाँ इन बिल्डिंग्स का। ये ज़रज़ीरा इलाका है और ये नॉर्थ इसराइल में पड़ता है। लेबनान का बॉर्डर जो है बिल्कुल करीब है यहाँ से, और यहाँ आप देखिए कि क्या हाल हुआ है इस पूरे इलाके का। ये आप देख सकते हैं कि इतना इम्पैक्ट था इस मिसाइल अटैक का कि ये पेड़ जो है ये यहाँ से टूट गया है। ये देखिए, ये पेड़ यहाँ से टूट गया है, इतना इस मिसाइल में ताकत थी। और ये आप देख सकते हैं कि क्या हाल हुआ है। ये टीन की चादरें जो हैं दूर दूर तक गई हैं। और उससे आप अंदाज़ा लगा सकते हैं कि क्या ताकत रहती है बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल की। ये बर्बादी दूर तक हुई है, गाड़ियां यहाँ पे तबाह हुई हैं और ये जर्जीरा इलाका है और ये बिल्कुल दूसरे साइड से आप देख सकते हैं। मैं दिखाने की कोशिश करूंगा, हालांकि ये वाला साइड जो है इर्द गिर्द का, ये लेबनान इस साइड से पड़ता है और ये इसराइल का नॉर्थ साइड है और दूर दूर तक आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ पे क्या तबाही हुई है। जहाँ पे ये मिसाइल गिरा है, ये देखिए न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया की टीम पहुंची है वहां पर जहां पर ईरान के मिसाइल ने तबाही मचाई है और ये नॉर्थ इसराइल का इलाका है और लेबनान का बॉर्डर यहाँ से बिल्कुल करीब है। और ये आप देख सकते हैं, आप देखिए कि पेड़ किस तरीके से उखड़ चुके हैं। ये पेड़ जो हैं एकदम से टूट चुके हैं, इतनी शिद्दत रही है इस मिसाइल अटैक की, तो उससे शिद्दत का अंदाजा लगाया जा सकता है। इसराइल पर लगातार ईरान की तरफ से अटैक किए जा रहे हैं, हिजबुल्लाह की तरफ से अटैक किए जा रहे हैं। तो यहाँ पे बड़े बड़े ट्रॉलर्स लाए जाते हैं और उनके ज़रिए जो है ये सारा मलबा हटाया जाता है। और ये इसराइल में हर जगह हम देख रहे हैं तकरीबन कि जहाँ जहाँ पे भी मिसाइल या रॉकेट गिरते हैं वहाँ पर जो फिर तबाही की वजह से इर्द गिर्द मलबा रहता है उसको फौरन हटाया जा रहा है। ये देखिए क्या हाल हुआ है इस बिल्डिंग का, ये बिल्डिंग तबाह हुई है। ये इस स्पॉट के बिल्कुल नज़दीक थी ये बिल्डिंग और अब यहाँ पर इसको फौरन जो है हटाया जा रहा है। यहाँ पर ऐसा लगता है कि कुछ शायद मिसाइल का कोई हिस्सा रहा हो और अब यहाँ पे जब हम देखते हैं इर्द गिर्द तो शिद्दत बहुत ज़्यादा रही होगी इस मिसाइल अटैक की, क्योंकि यहाँ पे सब कुछ तबाह हो चुका है। इस वक्त सायरन फिर से बज गई है। रात के दौरान भी बार बार सायरन बज रही थी। मैं इस वक्त टेल अवीव में हूं और सायरन बज गई है और जो भी लोग इर्द गिर्द हैं वो अब यहाँ पर जाएंगे शेल्टर में। भागने लगे लोग, आप देख सकते हैं भाग रहे हैं लोग शेल्टर की ओर। ये आप देख सकते हैं किस तरीके से लोग शेल्टर में जा रहे हैं क्योंकि सायरन बज गई है और बार बार सायरन्स बज रही हैं। यहाँ पर आप देखना होगा कि आसमान की तरफ हम कैमरा करके देखेंगे कि कहाँ की ओर ये अटैक होगा। बार बार अटैक्स हो रहे हैं, ये देख सकते हैं आप किस तरीके से यहाँ पे लोग दौड़ रहे हैं शेल्टर के लिए। ये देख सकते हैं आप भागम भाग शुरू हो गई है और लोग दौड़ रहे हैं शेल्टर में। बार बार लोगों को शेल्टर में जाना पड़ता है। ये एक्सक्लूसिव विजुअल्स आप इस वक्त के देख सकते हैं न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया पे कि किस तरीके से इस वक्त टेल अवीव इसराइल में लोग जा रहे हैं शेल्टर में क्योंकि सायरन बज चुकी है। ये देख सकते हैं आप कि किस तरीके से यहाँ पे इंटरसेप्ट किया गया मिसाइल्स को और ये छाप है मिसाइल्स का दूर से दिख रहा है और यहाँ पे इंटरसेप्ट किया गया है ईरान की तरफ से जो मिसाइल दागे जा रहे हैं या हिजबुल्लाह की तरफ से जो रॉकेट्स दागे जा रहे हैं उनको लगातार यहाँ इंटरसेप्ट करने की कोशिश की जाती है। काफ़ी सारे मिसाइल्स और रॉकेट्स जो हैं वो यहाँ पे फट भी जाते हैं और उनसे काफ़ी नुकसान भी हो रहा है। तो ईरान की तरफ से लगातार अटैक्स किए जा रहे हैं, अटैक्स का सिलसिला नहीं रुका है। बार बार सायरन्स बज रही हैं, बार बार अटैक हो रहे हैं और हम देख रहे हैं आसमान में फिर निशान पड़ जाते हैं जो ये मिसाइल अटैक हो जाता है।
Shifting our focus now to the latest comment that's come in from US President Donald Trump. He's once again signaled that his planned visit to China later this month could be postponed if Beijing does not help efforts to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump said he expected China to play a role in easing disruptions in the vital oil shipping lane before he travels to Beijing for a summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping, tentatively scheduled for the 31st of March. So this summit was scheduled to take place from the 31st to the 2nd, and President Donald Trump now signaling that he may postpone his plan if China doesn't help in efforts to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Now, remember, CNN News 18 has been breaking down details, viewers, of how, and this is exclusive information that we've been putting out on how Chinese-flagged vessels have very much been allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, and possibly President Donald Trump signaling his aimed at that, in wanting to tell China that there is a certain leverage you enjoy with Tehran. You must put it to use to ensure there's free passage given to ships and vessels going forward. As far as this maritime choke point is concerned, Siddhant is joining us with more details. Siddhant, what more can you tell us? Increasingly, Donald Trump now urging more and more nations. He's saying every European country, everyone in South Asia must unite to sort of push Iran to negotiate and ensure that vessels are able to freely, safe passages ensured to each and every vessel looking at passing through the Strait of Hormuz. But there's another trick now that he's looking at coming up with as far as his China visit is concerned. What more details do we have?
Well, that's right. So this visit was announced when last time around two leaders met, that there's going to be the summit level talks in April. President Trump will be going to Beijing, etc., etc. But now President Trump wants China to be helping United States in solving the Hormuz crisis. Now, there's a deep cooperation between Iran and China. China has been benefiting from cheap Iranian energy, has been fueling its factories, etc., from the cheap Iranian energy from a very long time. It almost contributes 14% of their total imports, if I'm not mistaken. So President Trump wants China to use this leverage to solve the Hormuz crisis. In fact, day before yesterday, when he posted on Truth Social, perhaps asking all these countries, UK, France, and NATO members, Western countries, to be stepping forward, sending their ships, creating escort missions, etc., to pass the vessel. He also mentioned China. So he is desperately seeking China's help, China's assistance, and he wants China to use its leverage to solve this crisis. And now
Please conclude. Please conclude.
1 minute. I will finish 1 minute. सर, इससे जमाखोरी और बुकिंग बढ़ रही है। महोदय, इससे कुछ महत्वपूर्ण सवाल उठते हैं। अगर सरकार को ये पता था कि एलपीजी इंपोर्ट्स संकट में पड़ेगा, तो अल्टरनेटिव अरेंजमेंट क्यों नहीं किए गए? देश में कोऑर्डिनेटेड रिस्पांस और पब्लिक एंग्जाइटी का काम करने को अपोजिशन को भरोसे में क्यों नहीं लिया गया? और काला बाजारी, जमाखोरी को रोकने के लिए सरकार कोई कड़ा कदम क्यों नहीं उठाया रहे? सभापति जी, ये संकट हमारे प्रबंधन की दयनीय हालत ही नहीं, बल्कि फॉरेन पॉलिसी और एनर्जी पॉलिसी की कमजोरी भी ये बताता है। सरकार की ये जिम्मेदारी है गरीब और मिडिल क्लास और गरीब तबके के लोग और छोटे मोटे व्यापारी को एलपीजी की स्थिर, सुलभ और किफायती उपलब्धता कराया जाना चाहिए। अब जब सरकार अपनी कमजोरी को छिपाने के लिए
गार्गे जी प्लीज बाकी लोगों से ज्यादा समय। हाउ मेनी 1 मिनट गार्गे जी प्लीज कंक्लूड। लोकसभा में उन्होंने जो अरुण जी प्लीज
और ईरान में जो लड़ाई चल रही उसका भी डिस्कशन यहाँ होना चाहिए। और यही मूल कारण है हम
कांग्रेस के लोग स्टेटमेंट नहीं सुने सर, और पूरा आके डिस्टर्ब किया। वो स्टेटमेंट का मांग किया और 4 बजे उन्होंने कहा कि राहुल गांधी जी बोलना चाहते हैं। वो एलपीजी में फिर नहीं बोले और फिर इधर उधर का बात करके जो पेट्रोलियम मिनिस्टर ने स्टेटमेंट दिया, तो फिर सारे कांग्रेस एमपी पूरा हंगामा करके स्टेटमेंट नहीं सुने, फिर यह मुद्दा उठाते हैं। जब जवाब देते हैं तो सुनते नहीं है। ये तो बहुत गलत बात है। नाउ श्रीमान Now, Honorable Leader of the House. Sir, Garge ji, I have given you more than sufficient time. Please conclude. You are not concluding. So, that is getting disturbed. The whole house is getting disturbed. Sir,
Please conclude. Please conclude. How many times you will take? I have already given you more than 6 minutes. You are not concluding.
Sir, this is zero hour.
Please take your seat. Vajpayee.
Sir, this is zero hour, and the honorable member who happens to be the leader of the opposition, he should know that he has to speak within 3 minutes.
Please take it.
And he has spoken more than 6 minutes. I think your intervention is needed, number one. Number two, मुझे दुख है कि हमारे विपक्ष, विशेष करके इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस, यह विपत्ति काल में भी देश में राजनीति करने से पीछे नहीं हटता। यह विपत्ति कोई भारत के कारण नहीं आई है, इसमें भारत का कोई योगदान नहीं है, लेकिन जो अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्थिति हुई है, उस अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्थिति में आज हम सब लोग जानते हैं कि ये क्राइसिस आया है। इस क्राइसिस के बारे में हरदीप पुरी ने पूरी बातचीत कही है और हाउस में कहा है, जब ये सुन नहीं रहे थे। दूसरी बात, कांग्रेस का नेता सिलेंडर की होर्डिंग में पकड़ा गया है और इन्होंने होर्डिंग की है और ये जनता को उकसाने का काम कर रहे हैं। दे आर इंसाइटिंग द पीसफुल पीपल ऑफ द कंट्री। और यह बहुत ही दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है कि ऐसी परिस्थिति में भी यह राजनीति से बाज नहीं आते हैं और उनको ऐसे क्राइसिस में देश के साथ खड़े होने के बजाय इस विषय को उठा करके वो देश में खलबली लाने के प्रयास करते हैं, देश में एक अराजकता लाने का प्रयास करते हैं। यह बहुत ही निंदनीय है।
Now, Shriman Niranjan Bisiji, nothing will go on record except Shriman Niranjan Bisiji.
Honorable Chairman, sir, thank you very much for giving me
nothing will go on record except Shriman Niranjan Bisiji.
In urgent public importance regarding establishment of new sainik school in the district of Balangir, Odisha. Sir,
nothing will go on record except Shriman Niranjan Bisiji's speech. Please continue. Niranjan Bisiji, please continue.
Sir,
please.
Out of which only two.
Niranjan Bisiji, are you going to speak or I have to call somebody else?
Out of which only
please continue your speech.
Exist in our Odisha.
Gargaji, please take your seat. Gargaji, please take your seat. Gargaji, please take your seat. Niranjan ji,
sir,
bolo.
The curriculum is to prepare the
Niranjan Bisiji, bolo.
For entry.
Nothing will go on record except
Naval Academy.
Shriman Niranjan Bisiji's speech.
Academics. In this connection,
please, Gargaji, you please take your seat. We have given sufficient time. Please take your seat.
2015 had instructed the Chief Secretary of Odisha for opening of
Gargaji, please take your seat. Niranjan Bisiji, follow.
And after that, the Chief Secretary has directed the School and Mass Education Department.
Please.
And the School and Mass Education Department on 5th January 2016 requested the collector Balangir and other 17 collector of LWE affected area, including collector Kalahandi, Nuapada, Koraput, Nabarangpur, Malkangiri, Sundargarh, Fulbani, Rayagada, Ganjam, Gajapati, Mayurbhanj for physical report and joint verification report along with identification of suitable government land for establishment of new sainik school in the state of Odisha. Sir, for this proposed proposal, the then collector Balangir submitted a feasibility report on dated 18 August 2020 to the School and Mass Education Department, Odisha, along with identification of 49 acres of suitable government land at Titlagad, Mauja, Maniga, in the district of Balangir, along with feasibility report for establishment of new sainik school in the district of Balangir, Odisha. But sir, through you sir, I urge the government of India to initiate necessary step for establishment of a new Sainik school.
Shift our focus to more breaking news coming in. We're going to be, viewers, in minutes from now, be picking up first set of visuals of Shivalik, the Indian vessel. It's expected to reach the Mundra port shortly with LPG supply. Shivalik, loaded with over 46,000 metric tons of LPG, is expected to reach the port any minute now. Pallavi Ghosh joins us with more details. This is going to be big relief indeed, isn't it, Pallavi? But over to you for the latest. We've been tracking this development for the last few hours on how these two Indian ships back-to-back were allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. All of this a result of diplomatic negotiations that are underway at the top level. But what are we to expect the next few minutes?
So, Christine, there are two ships, essentially, the Shivalik and the Nanda Devi. The government has officially now confirmed has passed and crossed through the Strait of Hormuz with a large consignment of LPG, which should ease the situation further as far as the country's supply is concerned. But more specifically, the first good news is that anytime now the Shivalik is likely to reach the Mundra port, Christine, with a huge supply of LPG gas. What the government has been saying consistently is that there have been backroom negotiations. India has been engaging with all the countries. We've also been reporting that our foreign minister has been in touch with his counterpart in Iran. And we've taken advantage of the good and equidistant good relationship that we enjoy with all the countries. Unlike crude oil, LPG has always been an area of concern. The government has been given repeated reassurances, Christine, don't worry. There's only going to be regularization and rationalization because we want to ensure that people don't hold up, they don't go into panic booking. And that is the kind of plea which has been coming in from the government. Now with this additional supply coming in from Shivalik, anytime now to be followed up by Nanda Devi a little later, we can expect more relief for our consumers, but more importantly for the commercial sector as well.
All right, so of course, as we are getting the information right now, it's the Shivalik which is set to reach the Mundra port in a short while from now. Very soon, we are going to see visuals of that as well. It's carrying, remember viewers, 46,000 metric tons of LPG. Along with the Nanda Devi, that takes the number to 92,000 metric tons.
That's right. It's a huge diplomatic win for India, And, here we have two options. The world has two options. For this Hormuz crisis. One option is to be sending the navies and engaging militarily with the Iranian forces and getting the secured passage in the Hormuz. And the other is through dialogue and diplomacy, perhaps which has been India's position from the very beginning. In fact, today, EMS Jaishankar spoke to Financial Times and he said that through dialogue and diplomacy, India has achieved results, and two of the oil tankers have sailed through the Strait of Hormuz and will be reaching India soon. So today we have Shivalik reaching Mundra port, and tomorrow the Nanda Devi, the other vessel, will be reaching Kandla port. So India has.
Welcome and thank you so much for staying with CNN News 18. I'm Griha Atul. With me in the studios, Haim, Suraya, and we are in fact going to tell you all about what's going on in the Gulf and also the escalation that we are seeing on part of Iran. But first, the headlines, Haim.
Right, let's get started. Here's what we're tracking for you at this hour. Oil prices crossed the $100 barrel mark amid escalating geopolitical tensions. Russia warns crude could surge to $150 within 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, if the conflict intensifies.
Also, Iranian drone strike sparks massive fire near Dubai airport, forcing flight suspensions. Escalating Iran war threatens, in fact, Gulf economies with their worst downturn since the 1990s.
Shivalik, the first of the two vessels to reach India, and is now approaching Mundra port after crossing the Strait of Hormuz.
Also, as the Strait of Hormuz remains choked, Trump warns NATO allies the alliance could face a very bad future if members do not help secure
and reopen the vital oil route amid the Iran conflict. However, Japan, Australia and France say they have no plans to send warships to the strait.
Chief executives from major U.S. oil companies have warned the Trump administration that the global energy crisis is likely to worsen amid ongoing geopolitical tensions and disruptions in energy supply.
Iran-backed Houthis prepare to open a second front in the Red Sea, threatening to choke the Bab el-Mandeb Strait and disrupt global oil and trade routes now.
And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu releases cafe video mocking viral death rumors, flashes 5 fingers to debunk the claims.
And back home, after the Model Code of Conduct comes into effect, Election Commission replaces 2 bureaucrats in Mamta's government, seeks report on cops responsible during post-poll violence in 2024, more transfers by EC likely.
Tamil Nadu Chief Minister reminds a bond between the DMK and Muslims, says the party will always stand by Muslims and their rights. BJP says clear fight for the vote bank slams appeasement.
So let's begin with what we're looking at as of today. We are learning of fresh drone strikes that have in fact come to fore near the Dubai International Airport, and this now has sparked a massive fire, forcing the authorities to temporarily suspend flight operations at one of the world's busiest travel hubs. The drone reportedly hit a fuel tank in the airport's vicinity. The attack, remember, comes amid a broader wave of missile and drone strikes across the Gulf, targeting ports, oil facilities and also airports, escalating tensions in the region linked to the ongoing Iran conflict. Let me take this across to my colleague Arunima, who is tracking every development. In fact, she joins us live from Dubai, where this drone strike has reportedly occurred. Arunima, first of all, we are hoping to understand if you're safe and what is the situation there.
So, the night that has just been spent here is was a lot of anxiety. People here were scared because the messages that were coming in since late last night, since about 3:30 a.m., led to a lot of anxiety. But this morning, I'll just try and give you a sense of the movement here, the traffic here. You see, there is vehicular movement in my frame. There are taxis, there are vehicles that are moving through the hotel area, the business districts of Dubai. There is also metro that is on the other side, and that metro has also been operational. So even though, and you see here, I'll just try and give you the frame on the other side. You see cyclists, etc., also moving in without any problem whatsoever. So these are cyclists coming in on the canal road, normal joggers, people who wanted to take their pets as well as their children out. They've all been utilizing the facilities that UAE has to offer. So it looks like a normal day for them. Overall, there you see, I told you there are people who have their pets also with them. It's a normal day for them. The taxis here are waiting, vehicular movement going on as per schedule. So even though there was some anxiety initially about what the day ahead looks like, after that strike happened at the airport, the roads towards the airport were shut. But beyond that, there is still confidence in the UAE government, in the UAE administration, that yes, these are difficult times. Iran is punishing UAE for no fault of its, is the common reference that you hear here. So yes, there is anxiety, there is some kind of apprehension about what lies in store in future, but there's also a sense of gratitude and comfort towards the leadership of UAE, especially by expat Indians. They're saying essential supplies are continuing, medical facilities are continuing. Mercifully, there has been no critical injury, no loss of life. So this is a challenging time, but they're moving on.
Right, Arunima, of course, we're seeing the wider geopolitical fallout as well, and how Gulf nations are increasingly in peril as we see this wider conflagration, and it is not going to stop anytime soon, is the sense that we are getting as well. When we talk about Qatar and Kuwait, their GDPs are set to contract by about 14%. UAE and Saudi also to likely feel that pinch. That being said, for how long can they sustain this fight without wanting to get directly embroiled in this conflict?
So I think it's a battle of patience. It's a battle of endurance. You know, while the UAE authorities, their defense system is intercepting these drones, but just look at the economics of it all. A drone costs much lesser than your air defense system. And if your air defense system is going to be working 24/7, you just don't know when the next drone is coming out from, then economically speaking, you are being drained. So that is a challenge for UAE. The European countries have, some of them have come to the defense of the administration here. United States of America too, along with the other NATO partners, has assured UAE that they are around in this troubled times. But I think the bigger impact is the impact of perception. It was a very well curated, carefully crafted image that UAE had about being a safe country in spite of everything that was happening around it in the Gulf. That sense of security, that sense of safety definitely has been jeopardized. Not many tourists in the hotel that I am staying in, and similar is the refrain everywhere that you travel to, from big ticket options like Atlantis to smaller options. Tourism has definitely suffered, and how long UAE, especially Dubai, relies heavily on tourism. So if this goes on too long, flights have been cancelled today, then I mean the economic impact could be felt.
Right, Arnima, thank you so much for bringing us the latest there. Of course, we'll continue to track the ground situation there. Of course, you've been bringing us all those reports. So why is the UAE being targeted? Why has this become a key target in the war in West Asia? Let's just take you through the key elements here. UAE, it's a key US defense partner. It has been since 2024, and that's what we're looking at here as well. Remember, Trump visited the UAE during his second term. It reflects further deepening of ties between the two as well. So it is a key US defense partner since 2024. Trump has further made efforts to deepen this partnership under Trump 2.0. Also, the Al Dhafra base there that we're talking about, which hosts about 3,500 US as well as French troops, making it another reason as to why this has become a key target in the war in West Asia. UAE also serves as a strategic hub for air operations, of course, and ties between the United States and UAE have deepened, as I mentioned earlier. Also, the United States, if we were to talk about them, they view the UAE as progressive and open in the region. So at a time when the situation remains volatile, slowly we are seeing how Gulf nations are getting deeply intertwined in this war. And as Arunima mentioned earlier as well, that this right now appears to be a war of patience. But how sustainable is this fight, especially at a time when no sides are willing to blink?
Right, absolutely. And Haim, one particular understanding that we also have was after the US went on to strike the Khar Island, there was an assertion that came in from the foreign minister of Iran, Abbas Araghchi, where he'd gone on record and he'd said that they will next be striking the UAE because they are the basis that America has been using for going and striking a very strategic and important location for Iran. We will, in fact, continue to talk about that. But as of today, oil prices have surged, with reports indicating Brent crude has reached approximately $103 per barrel. This is driven by severe disruptions in West Asia. Brent crude has surged to roughly $103 per barrel, with some reports noting spikes up to $107 to $111 earlier in the week. This, remember, marks the highest levels in nearly 3 years. Now, Russian President Vladimir Putin's special envoy, Kirill Dmitriev, has said that oil prices will surge over $150 a barrel in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And not only Russian envoy, but chief executives from major US oil companies have also warned that the Trump administration, in fact, is doing something that will lead to the global energy crisis to worsen amid the ongoing geopolitical tensions and disruptions in the energy supply.
About selling oil futures as a way of capping prices, trying to keep prices down at the pump.
The prices are going to come tumbling down as soon as it's over, and it's going to be over pretty quickly.
Let's now take take a look at what exactly do we have here. What kind of fluctuations are we looking at when it is about Brent crude, particularly energy prices that have been severely and massively impacted. So this is what the fluctuation in oil prices is looking like. And we begin with 27th of February. This is right before the escalation happened, right before America and Israel decided to strike locations in Iran. So this stood at $72.48 a barrel. But then if we take that spike from 28th of February to the 6th of March, it stood at $92.69 a barrel. 9th of March, it increased further to $104 a barrel. It reduced slightly on the 10th of March at $88 a barrel. So there was some reduction here because we could probably sense that there could be a cessation of hostilities with other nations involved. And also the president of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, going on record and saying that we're sorry, we do not want to strike the Gulf nations, but US bases were there, US assets were there, and we had no other choice in the face of the escalation and the pounding that's coming in from America and Israel. Then again, 11th, it went further up by $2 to $90 a barrel. 96 was on 12th March. Then again, you see 13th March. That's the figure that again is matching 9th of March. It goes to 100. Then 14th and 15th of March, it is at $103 a barrel. And as of 16th March, it is again to what it was on the 9th of March. That is $104 a barrel. So this is a massive impact and fluctuation that one is looking at as far as oil prices are concerned. Now remember, there has been a key escalation, and we were just discussing about this, that there is an attack by American forces at the Karg Island. This is, in fact, an island which is located along the Strait of Hormuz, a very small patch, but very, very strategic. And after that attack, even though American forces did not attack the oil refinery there, they did attack the strategic locations. Has this sort of escalation also coming from Iran, particularly vis-a-vis UAE? Siddhant is here with us to help us understand this better. Siddhant, we are seeing these massive fluctuations, and it is not going to, in fact, stop anytime soon. We are also seeing how Trump is imploring upon the other major powers to send warships to the Strait of Hormuz to get it open.
Correct.
How do you see this playing out?
No, I think what the US wants now is cooperation as far as Hormuz crisis is concerned, because they've understood one thing, that they cannot solve this crisis alone. They need participation from the countries, European countries, and the other countries in the world. And in fact, from day one, they have been saying that it's a shared purpose. Now they got the waivers on the Russian crude removed. They want India to buy more Russian crude so that it can bring down the gas prices. But you see today, Griha, despite so many measures, despite the storage of the gas have been released by the international organizations, etc. All those things have been done, but despite that, you know, the oil prices are not stable. And it is not only the West Asian countries or the countries in the world, they are putting pressure on President Trump, but it has become a political issue in the United States as well. In fact, there was a meeting which took place, and all these ExxonMobil to the big companies, oil companies in the America, they told that situation is going to remain volatile unless there is a solution for the Hormuz crisis. Trump wants all these countries to send their navy to the Hormuz to carry out escort missions, to do maritime ops, etc., etc. But most of these countries are backing off and backing out, and they're saying that, like Japan, France, Australia, they have issued statements that we cannot be carrying out escort missions in the Hormuz. It's risky, and this cannot be the solution. But India is showing way to the world. India is saying through diplomacy, through dialogue, directly speaking to Iran, maybe it can work for you. So India has now presented a model before the world.
Right, absolutely. And talking about India, let me in fact bring in Pallavi Ghosh, our colleague, also now joining us on the broadcast. Pallavi, the fact that there are several vessels that have made it and they're also en route to India, there is some respite, some good news, particularly as far as LPG goes. We are still looking at Brent crude really going up. It has reached 104 something, which it was on the 9th of March, in the middle of where this conflict really was. But more than 2 weeks on, this is where it has gone down to. Russia now claiming it might just go up to $150 a barrel. The strategy that you see coming in from the Indian side, what is that?
See, so Griha, as far as the crude oil is concerned, or the energy products are concerned, which includes petrol and diesel, the government is not too worried about, because we have sufficient stocks, and which, according to government, can cushion itself as far as these external developments which are taking place. So we are not too worried about that. But yes, the government has openly talked about concern over LPG, because bulk of that LPG actually comes in from the Hormuz Strait. Well, two ships already on its way. One of them, which is the Shivalik one, should have already docked in Mundra. So that also is bringing a huge consignment of LPG. And then to quickly touch upon the kind of backdoor negotiations which are going on, well, India is clearly taking advantage of the fact here that we also have a non-aligned foreign policy. Not anyone is our enemy, not anyone is our friend. A friend, I would use the word certainly more. So, we've been negotiating with Iran as well to open up the Strait of Hormuz, getting our supplies from other countries as well. Just to give a quick example on crude oil, 70% of it is coming in through the non-Hormuz route, which means our reliance on Hormuz is not going to be that much. As far as gas is concerned, we're speaking to other countries like Canada, Australia, Norway, Algeria. So we are trying to keep our back covered, which is why the government consistently, very confidently tells people, please don't indulge in panic booking and buying. We are taking care of your needs, whether it's domestic or whether it's commercial.
Right, absolutely, Pallavi. Of course, back at home, there's also a need to focus on the fact that there could be this perceived artificial shortage at a time when India is, of course, taking measures to insulate itself from these global oil shocks. We'll continue to focus on that as well. Let's shift our focus for now as the war enters day 17. CNN News 18 remains on the front lines, bringing you the reality as it unfolds, with the only network with 2 channels reporting from ground zero, where the air is thick with tension and the sound of sirens continue blaring. Our colleague Rifat is with us also. He's been filing ground reports amid the blaring alarms, incoming warnings and civilians scrambling for safety. Take a look at this ground report.
न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया की टीम पहुंची है जर्जर इलाके में। ये नॉर्थ इसराइल में पड़ता है। ये लेबनान बॉर्डर के बिल्कुल करीब वाला इलाका है और आप देख सकते हैं लेबनान इस साइड से आता है, लेकिन यहाँ पे ईरान की तरफ से दागा गया मिसाइल जो है उसकी वजह से यहाँ पे तबाही हुई है। ये वो स्पॉट है, ये वो गड्ढा है जहाँ पर ईरान की तरफ से दागा गया मिसाइल गिरा और यहाँ पे इर्द गिर्द बहुत ज्यादा तबाही मचाई है। इस मिसाइल अटैक ने, बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल का अटैक था। मैं यहाँ पे दिखाने की कोशिश करूंगा कि इर्द गिर्द क्या हाल है। तो ये आप देख सकते हैं कि इर्द गिर्द क्या हाल हुआ है। पूरी तबाही हुई है क्योंकि जोरदार मिसाइल अटैक था यहाँ पर और ये आप इन बिल्डिंग्स को हटाया जा रहा है क्योंकि इसराइल में बहुत जल्द उन बिल्डिंग्स को डिमोलिश किया जाता है जो ईरान के मिसाइल अटैक से या हिजबुल्लाह के अटैक्स में डैमेज हो जाती हैं। इर्द गिर्द काफ़ी बिल्डिंग्स जो हैं वो तबाह हो चुकी हैं, गाड़ियां तबाह हो चुकी हैं और ये आप देख सकते हैं क्या हाल हुआ है यहाँ इन बिल्डिंग्स का। ये जर्जिरा इलाका है और ये नॉर्थ इसराइल में पड़ता है। लेबनान का बॉर्डर जो है बिल्कुल करीब है यहाँ से और यहाँ आप देखिए कि क्या हाल हुआ है इस पूरे इलाके का। ये आप देख सकते हैं कि इतना इम्पैक्ट था इस मिसाइल अटैक का कि ये पेड़ जो है ये यहाँ से टूट गया है। ये देखिए ये पेड़ यहाँ से टूट गया है, इतना इस मिसाइल में ताकत थी। दूसरे साइड से आप देख सकते हैं, मैं दिखाने की कोशिश करूंगा। हालांकि ये वाला साइड जो है इर्द गिर्द का, ये लेबनान इस साइड से पड़ता है और ये इसराइल का नॉर्थ साइड है और दूर दूर तक आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ पे क्या तबाही हुई है। जहाँ पे ये मिसाइल गिरा है ये देखिए न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया की टीम पहुंची है वहाँ पर जहाँ पर ईरान के मिसाइल ने तबाही मचाई है और ये नॉर्थ इसराइल का इलाका है। इस वक्त सायरन फिर से बज गई है। रात के दौरान भी बार बार सायरन बज रही थी। मैं इस वक्त टेल अवीव में हूं और सायरन बज गई है और जो भी लोग इर्द गिर्द हैं वो अब यहाँ पर जाएंगे शेल्टर में। भागने लगे लोग, आप देख सकते हैं भाग रहे हैं लोग शेल्टर की ओर। ये आप देख सकते हैं किस तरीके से लोग शेल्टर में जा रहे हैं क्योंकि सायरन बज गई है और बार बार सायरन बज रही हैं यहाँ पर। आप देखना होगा कि आसमान की तरफ हम कैमरा करके देखेंगे कि कहाँ की और ये अटैक होगा। बार बार अटैक्स हो रहे हैं। ये देख सकते हैं आप किस तरीके से यहाँ पे लोग दौड़ रहे हैं शेल्टर के लिए। ये देख सकते हैं आप, भागम भाग शुरू हो गया और लोग दौड़ रहे हैं शेल्टर में। बार बार लोगों को शेल्टर में जाना पड़ता है। ये एक्सक्लूसिव विजुअल्स आप इस वक्त के देख सकते हैं न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया पे कि किस तरीके से इस वक्त टेल अवीव इसराइल में लोग जा रहे हैं शेल्टर में, क्योंकि सायरन बज चुकी है। ये देख सकते हैं आप कि किस तरीके से यहाँ पे इंटरसेप्ट किया गया मिसाइल्स को, और ये छाप है मिसाइल्स का दूर से दिख रहा है, और यहाँ पे इंटरसेप्ट किया गया है ईरान की तरफ से जो मिसाइल दागे जा रहे हैं या हिजबुल्लाह की तरफ से जो रॉकेट्स दागे जा रहे हैं, उनको लगातार यहाँ इंटरसेप्ट करने की कोशिश की जाती है। काफ़ी सारे मिसाइल्स और रॉकेट्स जो हैं वो यहाँ पे फट भी जाते हैं और उनसे काफ़ी नुकसान भी हो रहा है। तो ईरान की तरफ से लगातार अटैक्स किए जा रहे हैं। अटैक्स का सिलसिला नहीं रुका है, बार बार सायरन्स बज रही हैं, बार बार अटैक हो रहे हैं, और हम देख रहे हैं आसमान में फिर निशान पड़ जाते हैं जो ये मिसाइल अटैक हो जाता है।
Let's now talk about this one detail that is going viral, and this is to do about the whereabouts of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. So he now has appeared in a video showing 5 fingers to dismiss the earlier rumors that were swirling and doing the rounds of his death after Iranian strikes. This particular footage comes as pro-Iranian media had claimed that Netanyahu was either dead or gravely injured. Now, meanwhile, we're also learning that Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps has issued a stark warning, vowing to pursue and kill what they called the child-killing criminal. This is what they have termed Netanyahu to be. They say that they will kill him if he's still alive. The war between Israel and Iran has now entered its 3rd week, with strikes and counter-strikes rattling the region. As speculations mount and threats intensify, the conflict shows no signs of easing.
This is the video in particular that we're talking about, where Netanyahu was seen in this video. He was asked by the reporter that they say on the internet that you're dead. He seemed to be surprised on hearing that. He then flashes his hands. Now, why is he doing that? He shows his 5 fingers because there were some earlier pictures which people were claiming were AI generated, which is what led to this entire speculation. Siddhant is here with us. He can perhaps give us a better understanding what is happening here.
That's right. Hey, I mean, it's kind of funny. During this crisis situation, Hormuz blockade, strikes being carried out by US and Israeli forces, counter-strikes by Iran, etc., etc. Amidst all this, from last 24 hours, there were these rumors dominating chatter on social media platforms that Prime Minister Netanyahu is dead, he's not alive, he has been killed in the Iranian strikes, etc., etc. Somehow his location got leaked, and that's how Iranians got to know about his location, and they struck that particular target. And for 2 days, there was this blanket silence from the Israeli side as well on these rumors, on these chatter. In fact, there was this press conference, press briefing by him. And you know, many on social media said that it's AI generated Netanyahu. It was not the original Netanyahu. And he had 6 fingers in that AI generated Netanyahu. So those things were being said on social. But look, now he's there. He's alive, very much alive. You know, enjoying coffee and laughing on all those rumors, chatter, and you know, joking about his dead stories. We don't know the exact location, but he's sipping coffee, enjoying coffee this morning in Israel, fit and fine. So as I said, that it's kind of funny that intense war is taking place in West Asia, and such rumors, such chatters dominate the social media platforms.
Right, and also, as is the case with the internet always, this video is done, in fact, little to quell the speculation when it comes to Netanyahu's death, actually, because how often does it happen? Some are arguing that you can just walk up to the Prime Minister of Israel in a coffee shop. However, that is Netanyahu saying, I'm pretty much alive, and he's dying for coffee. That is what he was trying to say. Those were the quips that he was making. With that, we're going to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. News and updates to continue on the other side.
Shift our focus to more breaking news coming in. We're going to be, viewers, in minutes from now, be picking up first set of visuals of Shaybah, the Indian vessel. It's expected to reach the Mundra port shortly. with LPG supply. Shivalik loaded with over 46,000 metric tons of LPG is expected to reach the port any minute now. Pallavi Ghosh joins us with more details. This is going to be big relief indeed, isn't it, Pallavi? But over to you for the latest. We've been tracking this development for the last few hours on how these two Indian ships back-to-back were allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. All of this a result of diplomatic negotiations that are underway at the top level. But what are we to expect the next few minutes?
So, Christine, there are two ships, essentially, the Shivalik and the Nanda Devi. The government has officially now confirmed has passed and crossed through the Strait of Hormuz with a large consignment of LPG, which should ease the situation further as far as the country's supply is concerned. But more specifically, the first good news is that anytime now the Shivalik is likely to reach the Mundra port, Christine, with a huge supply of LPG gas. What the government has been saying consistently is that there have been backroom negotiations. India has been engaging with all the countries. We've also been reporting that our foreign minister has been in touch with his counterpart in Iran. And we've taken advantage of the good and equidistant good relationship that we enjoy with all the countries. Unlike crude oil, LPG has always been an area of concern. The government has been given repeated reassurances, Christine, don't worry. There's only going to be regularization and rationalization because we want to ensure that people don't hold up, they don't go into panic booking. And that is the kind of plea which has been coming in from the government. Now with this additional supply coming in from Shivalik, anytime now to be followed up by Nanda Devi a little later, we can expect more relief for our consumers, but more importantly for the commercial sector as well.
All right. Welcome back. You're watching CNN News 18 with me, Rihatul. Let's now take a look at some breaking news that we are getting, and this is concerning an Air India flight. This flight is AI 105. It was coming in from New York, was supposed to land in the national capital, but had to be diverted to Ireland, we are told. The diversion is due to a technical fault, is what we are learning initially. But for more details, let me take this across to my colleague Vivek Gupta, who is now joining us on the broadcast. Vivek, न्यूयॉर्क से ये फ्लाइट दिल्ली की तरफ आ रही थी, आयरलैंड डाइवर्ट कर दिया गया है, वजह टेक्निकल फॉल्ट बता रहे हैं, डिटेल सामने आए हैं?
गृह देखिए, आपको बताना चाहेंगे कि ये एयर इंडिया की फ्लाइट AI 102 जो जॉन एफ कैनेडी एयरपोर्ट न्यूयॉर्क से उड़ान भरी थी दिल्ली के लिए, बीच में ही अचानक एक बड़ी तकनीकी खराबी इस एयरक्राफ्ट में आई है और इसे सैनॉन एयरपोर्ट पर उतारा गया है जो आयरलैंड में है। और इसमें सेफ्टी इसकी लैंडिंग हुई है सैनॉन एयरपोर्ट पर, और एयर इंडिया की जो टीम है वो अब इस बात की जांच कर रहे हैं कि जो उसमें तकनीकी खराबी आई थी उसे कितनी जल्द से जल्द ठीक कराया जा सकता है। लेकिन आपको बताना चाहेंगे कि जो प्रिकॉशनरी लैंडिंग है वो सैनॉन एयरपोर्ट जो आइलैंड में वो लैंडिंग हो चुकी है। अब जो एयरक्राफ्ट है उसकी जांच की जा रही है, सारे पैसेंजर्स को एयरक्राफ्ट के नीचे उतार दिया गया है, उनकी जो फैसिलिटीज है वो एयर इंडिया प्रोवाइड कर रही है। और इंडिया ये भी जांच कर रही है कि क्या इस पूरे मामले में दूसरा एयरक्राफ्ट में पैसेंजर्स को भेजने की तैयारी है या नहीं। लेकिन एयर इंडिया की जो ऑफिशियल स्टेटमेंट है उसमें भी साफ तौर पर कहा गया है कि एक मेजर टेक्निकल ग्लिच और टेक्निकल फॉल्ट पाए गए जिसकी वजह से प्रिकॉशनरी लैंडिंग जो जॉन एफ कैनेडी से दिल्ली की फ्लाइट थी उसे सैनॉन एयरपोर्ट आइलैंड में लैंड कराया गया है।
Vivek ji, thank you so much for bringing us the details on this. Of course, we'll continue to track all developments as and when more comes in. More breaking news coming in. The U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom has recommended targeted sanctions on entities such as the RSS and the External Intelligence Agency Research and Analysis Wing for violations of religious freedom. It has designated India as a country of particular concern and has asked Washington to link arms sales and trade policies to religious freedom. In its annual report, the USCIRF argued that conditions for religious freedom in India have continued to deteriorate. It's accused the Indian government of targeting religious minorities and houses of worship. Several states undertook efforts to introduce or strengthen anti-conversion laws to include harsher prison sentences. Indian authorities also facilitated widespread detention. This is what the report says, viewers. Let me remind you, an illegal expulsion of citizens and religious refugees and tolerated vigilante attacks against religious minority communities. The report, these were the details in the report. Karnataka Minister Priyank Kharge has targeted Prime Minister Modi, saying Everyone has understood it except Prime Minister Modi. RSS is the most corrupt body of individuals. Listen to this.
Everybody is putting sanctions on RSS, understanding their true intent, except Government of India. Why is this body of individuals, who is not only the world's largest network, also one of the richest networks, going unregistered? Today, it is, if you actually go to, even across the European countries, they have a similar opinion about RSS. RSS is the single most corrupt body of individuals organization in the country today. Why is the chief of RSS getting the security detail of a Minister of External Affairs? Why is he getting security detail of that of the Prime Minister of Ministry of External Affairs? What is their contribution? It's been 100 years, they claim. They can't list 10 contributions of theirs for the nation.
All right, for more on this, we have Siddhant with us. Siddhant, of course, we are seeing the politics that's broken out over this scathing report back at home as well. But let's first talk about the statements which have been made by the US Commission on International Religious Freedom, which has recommended targeted sanctions on entities such as the RSS, of course.
Well, yes, not for the first time. In fact, USCIRF is an independent US government body that monitors religious freedom, the word, and advises the US government on related issues. So as I said, not for the first time, there have been multiple such reports getting published by this independent body of the US government, advising US government on so-and-so issues. This time around, they have come up with this recommendations. So it basically says that targeted sanctions against RSS and Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh and Research and Analysis Wing of India, halt arms sales to India based on harassment against US citizens, future US military and trade ties with India linked to religious freedom. In fact, this report also says that enforce Section 6 of the Arms Export Control Act to halt arms sales to India based on continued acts of intimidation and harassment. In fact, this time this report also targets Research and Analysis Wing and they say that for their responsibility and tolerance of severe violation of religious freedom by freezing those individuals or entities' assets, barring their entry into the United States. So as I said, not for the first time, there have been multiple such reports. Recommendations by this body in the past as well. Okay. This has a very little impact on India-US ties, but definitely gives ammunition to the opposition back home.
Right, absolutely. Do stay on with us. Siddhant, we also have Pallavi now joining us on the broadcast. Pallavi, in the past too, this UN Commission has come out with certain reports that are not very flattering towards India, but this time not just calling out RSS but also RNAW. The reason for that, considering the MEA, we are told, has not yet responded to these claims.
So while we wait for the MEA to respond, and Siddhant will be a better one to basically raise that point on that, but we have the Congress Party's reactions, as you're seeing through the day, the moment this report came out in the public domain, is predictable, because the Congress has always considered RSS to an anti-national organization, but more specifically Rahul Gandhi. In fact, even as we speak, Rahul Gandhi is facing multiple defamation notices from the RSS, and he said that I don't want to apologize. I would prefer to go to court, if need be, go to jail. But the RSS is an anti-India, anti-Hindu, and anti-national organization. He's often accused it of stoking religious intolerance and trying to push forward one narrative as far as the country is concerned. So he is, I think this is a report, and I'm waiting to see what response really comes in from Rahul Gandhi on this, Griha. But the Congress Party is certainly going to give a complete thumbs up and said, look, this is exactly what we told you. So the RSS is not an NGO or a non-profit or a social organization as the BJP wants to predict it as and project it as. In fact, it very much colors the style of functioning of the BJP.
Right, absolutely. And since you mentioned about the political fallout that this will see, we already are getting in reactions from senior leaders of the Congress Party, like Mr. Priyank Kharge, who said that everybody, including the world, that has taken notice, except for the Bharatiya Janata Party, that IRSS seems to be a corrupt organization. So this is the version that's coming in from the Congress. Do we see more, Pallavi?
I think so, and I'm just, as I said, I'm just waiting to see what response really comes in from Rahul Gandhi. You know, even when he's traveled abroad on multiple platforms, he may have been criticized for speaking out against his country abroad on a public platform, but he has always attacked the RSS. And I remember at one such interaction, I think it was in Sweden, if I'm not mistaken, he had compared it to Muslim Brotherhood by saying that it's as lethal, as divisive in nature. So this finding or the mentioning of RSS in that US report already is going to be used by the Congress party to say, look, when American reports are saying it, it's important time that BJP stand up and takes notice.
Siddhant, let me come to you on that as well. We were discussing this, you touched on this earlier, but I just want to focus on it a little more. What sort of a diplomatic and legal fallout do you see coming out of this if the US State Department were to act on the recommendations in this report, or do you think that's not plausible at the moment?
Well, pragmatic approach, if I talk about, then it has a very little impact on India-US strategic partnership because, as I said, that there have been multiple such reports in the past also recommending various things to the US administrations, previous administrations about India. Now, I will have to check whether is it for the first time that research and analysis wing has also been is part of this report. Has there been any such recommendations made by this body in the past? Because that is something which is new for me. But other than this, blaming India for the religious violations, etc., is kind of a routine practice of this body. And as I said, that it holds very little impact on the India-US ties. Having said that, we could expect a response from Ministry of External Affairs. In fact, earlier also in the past also when such reports get published, religious freedom report, etc., then at that time also ministry do react to such reports. But talking about the impact it will have on the relationship, perhaps as per my understanding, there's going to be no impact on the relationship between the two countries.
All right, Siddhant, Pallavi, thank you so much for joining us with all the latest as far as this big story is concerned. Right now, we're shifting our focus to the poll date announcement. Now, hours after the Model Code of Conduct officially came into effect with the announcement of the 2026 West Bengal Assembly election schedule, the Election Commission of India has replaced state's top 2 bureaucrats. The commission transferred out Chief Secretary Nandini Chakraborty and also House Secretary Jagdish Prasad Meena, appointing Dushyant Nariala and Sangamitra Ghosh to those posts and said with immediate effect. The removed officers have been barred from holding any election-related posts until the poll concludes.
मैं एक चीज बता दूं कि चुनाव आयोग ये तो आप मान के चलें कि वो अपने ऑफिस से ये चुनाव आयोग सारा कार्य कर रही है। ऐसा नहीं कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी के ऑफिस से करे। मैं इसलिए इस बात को कर रहा हूं कि पूरी चीजें कब डिक्लेयर करना है, कहां क्या करना है, ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी तय करती है और अकॉर्डिंगली फिर वो बोलती है। इसलिए तो इम्पीचमेंट मोशन उनके अगेंस्ट में लाया गया है कि एक संस्थान है जिनको बहुत निष्पक्ष होना चाहिए, स्वतंत्र होना चाहिए, लेकिन आज भी ऐसा नहीं लगता है कि ये स्वतंत्र है, निष्पक्ष है, और ये जैसा जैसा जो सत्ताधारी दल करते हैं वैसा ये एक्ट कर रही है, और उसी कड़ी में इन्होंने बंगाल के चीफ सेक्रेटरी को हटाया है।
All right, and more information coming in. The Election Commission of India has ordered the transfer and posting of senior police officers in West Bengal ahead of the 2026 West Bengal Legislative Assembly election. Let's just go through these. Key postings directed by the Commission are as follows. Sidnath Gupta, IPS 1992, to be appointed Director General and Inspector General of Police in charge, West Bengal. Natarajan Ramesh Babu, IPS 1991, appointed Director General, Correctional Services. Ajay Mukund, IPS 1995, appointed ADG and IGP, Law and Order. Ajay Kumar Nand, IPS 1996, appointed Commissioner of Police, Kolkata. The Commission directed that the changes be implemented immediately, and a compliance report confirming the officers joining is to be submitted by 3 p.m. on the 16th of March, that's today. So this is the latest that we're getting on that. Kamalika Sen-Gupta joins us for more on this. Kamalika, what can you tell us?
See, major changes since last night.
The Chief Secretary, Home Secretary order came last night, and today in the morning, none other than the DG was Piyush Pandey. He has been removed, and new DG is now Siddhinath Gupta. And after that, not only that the Chief Secretary, Home Secretary and DG is removed, present DGLO, that he was promoted to DGLO, that means ADGLO, who looks after the law and order of the entire Bengal. Vineet Goyal, who was the formerly who was the CP of Kolkata during the Arjikar times, who was compelled to be removed by Mamata Banerjee. Vineet Goyal also has been removed, and a new officer has come in replacing Vineet Goyal as Ajay Ranade has come there. Major decisions have been taken, and CP Kolkata, who was Shupratim Sharkar, he has been removed, and Ajay Nand, who is also a very competent officer, he has been placed there. So major changes, if we see Home Secretary changed, Chief Secretary changed, Home Secretary changed, DG changed, ADGLO changed, and also the CP of Kolkata changed. Now what we are getting from Election Commission, the EC sources tells us that it is the duty of the Election Commission to conduct election in free and fair, peaceful, without intimidation. For that, these changes were necessary. Okay. What we are coming to know from our sources that more changes are awaited, more changes are to come, lot of SPs to be transferred, and higher officials are will be transferred. There is a very strong eye on each and every bureaucrat. So major changes, this is the main administrative, the people who were running the administration, all of them has been changed. Chief Secretary, Home Secretary, DG, ADGLO, CP Kolkata, very important post. All of them have been changed, replaced by new officers. All are senior officers and competent officers. And the motive of Election Commission is to have free and fair election. Now, this is definitely, has created a tsunami in Bengal bureaucracy and obviously on Bengal politics.
And possibly we are going to see that tsunami on the streets also, because we are learning, Kamalika, that the Chief Minister herself is going to take to the streets in protest of these postings. But we will keep a track on every development with Kamalika. Right now, we are getting some breaking news on the broadcast. There has been a green signal that is given to hold IPL matches in Bengaluru's Chinnaswamy Stadium. Officials from the KSCA, the RCB and the DNA team have met with Home Minister of, in fact, Karnataka G. Parameshwara regarding IPL matches that are scheduled at the Chinnaswamy Stadium. Remember, the stampede situation at the RCB, in fact, victory parade had led to the suspension. An expert committee report has been submitted. And after a series of discussions, the final approval has been granted to now conduct the matches at the Chinnaswamy Stadium. So as I was mentioning, the KCB victory parade led to a stampede-like situation, and that had in fact led to suspension of matches at the Chinnaswamy Stadium. But now, after this report has been submitted, discussions have been held which had stakeholders from the Karnataka State Cricket Association, also from Royal Challengers Bengaluru, and the DNA team management, the team that was managing the IPL match particularly, which had the aftermath, which saw the death of several individuals because of the stampede that happened in that victory parade by the members and the team of the RCB. Now, after those discussions, we are learning that finally a granting has been happened as far as matches in Chinnaswamy Stadium are concerned. Remember, IPL matches that were put on hold, particularly after the stampede. Now a green signal granted after much deliberations and discussion. My colleague Harish Upadhyay with all of those details. Harish, a go-ahead now for matches to finally be held at the Chinnaswamy Stadium, but would want you to throw light on the kind of discussions that we are looking at and this report. What really came out of the report?
Well, there were certain specific recommendations made by the Justice Kuna Commission, as well as the expert committee that was constituted by the state government. And there were specific concerns, or at least advisory given on the changes required for the structure of the stadium. For example, widening the entry and exit gates, and also having ambulance access points and various such 17, 18 different points that were given, and they were put in different tiers, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and many of them, the committee has observed that the civic work has already started and perhaps will be completed by the time the opening ceremony of IPL takes place on the 28th. And based on the satisfactory progress made in these works, now this expert committee has given a green signal, after which the Karnataka government too has allowed the KCA to go ahead and stage these 5 matches of RCB, then a playoff match and the final of the upcoming IPL season at the Chinnaswamy Stadium.
Right, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Harish, we'll keep an eye on this big development that's coming in from Karnataka. We're now getting some breaking news on the broadcast, and this is as per latest reports, and this is a big news that's coming in. US, we are told, has struck military facilities near Iran's Shaybah free trade zone. That's a huge development that we'd want to bring to our viewers. Remember, Chabahar port is of strategic significance to India. So what would this mean for India? Because remember, this gives an easy access to India through Afghanistan, Central Asia and Europe. And now with this development coming to fore, this becomes rather crucial. US has struck military facilities near Iran's Chabahar free trade zone, which is close to the border with Pakistan.
So this is a significant escalation of the ongoing regional conflict that we are seeing in West Asia. US fighter jets reportedly struck military facilities, were given to understand, near the Chabahar free trade zone. This happened today. The target locations, we don't have much clarity on that. Of course, Siddhant, what can you tell us of the implications for this, especially for India as well?
Well, that's right. India has investments in Chabahar port economic zone. In fact, Indian company runs Shahid Beheshti terminal on the Chabahar port. Now we're getting to know that the facilities near Chabahar free trade zone, it's a huge free trade zone. In fact, I've been to Chabahar free trade zone. I've visited Chabahar port. It's a huge area. So we don't have any information about the specific targets being hit in that particular area. But all we know is that an area close to the Chabahar special economic zone has been hit. India definitely has investments in the Shahid Beheshti terminal. In fact, in 2024, there was an updated agreement also signed between the two sides. But this project never took off because of the geopolitical reasons. In fact, in 2018, India did ask for the waivers from the United States, and those waivers were granted. Then again, India requested for a waivers last year. Then waivers on Chabahar are set to expire in April, if I'm not mistaken. But there is no request again being made by India for the waivers. So this is a strategic location, Chabahar port, counter to Pakistan's Gwadar port. Perhaps the idea was for the trade from India to a Central Asian country, this port will be activated. In fact, India activated this port many times to send relief to Afghanistan. Right now, because of this war situation, port is not active. There is indeed waiver exemption till today, but now we're getting to know that the facility near this particular economic zone has been targeted.
Right, absolutely. Siddhant, as you mentioned, we're waiting for more information on this as well. So what happened to the India-funded trade terminal? We don't have much information on that. As per initial reports, if there anything to go by, that was not damaged here. Let's just go across to Griha, who's in the studio bringing us more developments.
Well, absolutely. We are now getting some breaking news on the broadcast, and we are learning that the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has refused to send warships to the Strait of Hormuz, as has been implored upon by the President of the United States. Starmer is refusing to send those warships to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz after Donald Trump called for reinforcement to stave off a mounting economic crisis. This, remember, after Japan, after France, after Australia, UK too now rebuffing Trump. Trump had asked allies to send those warships to Hormuz, but now many of them, after France, Australia, Japan, UK now joining the fray and saying that they are not willing to, in fact, get their warships along the Strait of Hormuz.
All right, so let's just go across to Siddhant, who's in the newsroom with us, bringing us more development, more details on this latest development that we have right now as well. Siddhant, let me just come to you. So there, the latest coming in on that front as well. UK Prime Minister also joins the chorus there on Trump's call for them to free up the Strait of Hormuz.
Well, that's right. In fact, since morning, Australia, France, Japan, all three countries refused to be sending their navy ships to the Hormuz or carry out escort missions or maritime operations in the Hormuz. Now we're getting to know that, in fact, Keir Starmer, UK Prime Minister, also refuses to send ships to the Hormuz. So it looks like that the plan of President Trump to be sending navy ships to create a passage is not going to be successful, because all of the close partners and allies of United States are backing out. They are not agreeing to this idea of militarily engaging the Iranian forces in the Hormuz.
All right. So this is the latest on that front as well. It's France, Australia, Japan, and now the UK who snubbed Trump's call when it comes to clearing up the strategic Strait of Hormuz. Let's just go across to Greya in the studio, who's bringing us more updates as well.
So remember, we are continuing to track every development, and this is huge because even as the President of the United States is imploring upon allies and several other superpowers to come join in, help open the Strait of Hormuz in the face of this deterrence by Iran, because Iran is going ahead and using the strategic location of the Strait of Hormuz and not allowing many of the ships with energy, LPG, crude oil, all of those ships that are laden with that. Now, to help reduce that kind of pressure, there was a version that came in from Washington, particularly from the President of the United States, where he'd asked not just UK, but also nations like Japan, France, Australia, for that matter, to come help support him, send warships along the Strait of Hormuz and help open the Strait of Hormuz through military force, probably escorting ships out. But it is easier said than done. You have to also understand about how insurers have, in fact, backed out. They are not insuring the ships that are moving out of the Strait of Hormuz. And now this is a big statement that's coming in from the UK Prime Minister, where he's joining the ranks of Japan, Australia, France, and saying that no, we are not game at the moment. We are not going to be sending warships to the Strait of Hormuz. So we are not in on this crisis that is US made. It's a key highlighted point that is being made through, in fact, Keir Starmer, where he said that we are not in on the idea that we are going to be sending any kind of warships to the Strait of Hormuz. We'll keep an eye on every development as far as this big story goes. Right now, we're shifting our focus to a CNN News 18 mega exclusive. We are now learning that Pakistan's military persecution is continuing in Balochistan. At least 8 local Baloch have reportedly been forcefully, they have disappeared, we are told, from several districts in Balochistan. Around 53 Baloch people have also been forcefully made to go out of radar. They have disappeared since the 1st of January this year alone. And these are the claims that have been made by Baloch human rights. So this is an important development, even as there is a particular pounding that Pakistan seems to be receiving from Afghanistan. The atrocities against Baloch activists also continue, and that is not really stopping. And this is a big piece of news that we are bringing for our viewers. It's over to my colleague Haim, who's in the newsroom.
All right, so that is the latest that we are learning of right now. Families and local sources, this is what our sources are telling us right now, that there have been disappearances reported in the month of March, and this is the latest information that is coming in. Pakistan's oppression in Balochistan continues. We have Anand here with us. Anand, how do you say?
Well, absolutely. Now, this is something that the persecution by the Pakistanis seem to escape all kind of organizations that are looking at democracies across the world and trying to pin it on Bharat. But in this case, the details are quite shocking that have come to the fore. Persecution by the Pakistani military is an old story that the Baloch have been asking for, and nearly 8,000 people have been found missing. But right now, we are given to understand these are the numbers, these are the people. Saifullah, a resident of Kili Kamrani on Sarib Road, reportedly detained by Pak security forces. Majid, son of Ghulam Mohammed, resident of Jiwani district, Gwadar, taken by the military intelligence and FC personnel. 2 brothers, Shams Zairi and Qamar Zairi, were arrested in Khuzdar and shifted to an undisclosed location. Amjad, the Baloch fisherman, arrested from Karachi's Moripur area and shifted to Ormara. No case has been registered yet. Balach Piral and Balach Nasir of Kech district have gone missing. The family is unaware of their whereabouts. Abdul Ghani, a resident of Karan district, taken into custody by Pak security forces. All these incidences are of enforced disappearances, and they have all happened during the holy month of Ramadan. So the families of the missing individuals have said that since their detention and abduction have not been informed of their whereabouts, and nor have they been presented before a court. And so this human rights groups are now saying that enforced disappearances in Balochistan have now become a systematic pattern. The question is, this entire slogan of "Ye jo dehshat gardi hai, iske piche vardi hai," emanated from Balochistan, then went into Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Pakhtunistan, and now is echoing among the Afghans also along the Durand line. And the Pakistan army so far has never been held to account for these forced disappearances.
As you mentioned, Anand, of course, this is, appears to have become their MO here, and this is what the activists are saying as well. Despite repeated calls, there appears to be no action on ground. The situation, at least, pretty much remains the same.
Yes, it does. In fact, till date, there are Mama Baloch, Qadir Baloch, so many others who have gone even to the UN in Geneva, and they have documented names of more than 8,000 Baloch. 8,000 Baloch, including women, children, who have whose disappearances have been enforced. In fact, in some cases, they believe there are satellite images of helicopter gunfire being unfleet on villages, and whole villages being flattened, and then them being buried in areas, and there have been mass graves that have also been discovered. So far, there is a list of nearly 8,000 such missing people, and this, in the month of Ramadan, is the latest into that list.
Thank you so much for that, Anand. So this is where the situation stands right now. We'll, of course, continue to track all developments on that front closely for you viewers. With that, we're going to slip into a very short break, but don't go anywhere. News and updates to continue on the other side on CNN News 18.
National ambitions, regional pride, high-stakes alliances, and leaders battling for every vote. CNN News 18 brings you the ultimate election battleground. Battle for the states. The road to power begins here.
Shift our focus to more breaking news coming in. We're going to be, viewers, in minutes from now, be picking up first set of visuals of Shivalik, the Indian vessel. It's expected to reach the Mundra port shortly with LPG supply. Shivalik, loaded with over 46,000 metric tons of LPG, is expected to reach the port any minute now. Pallavi Ghosh joins us with more details. This is going to be big relief indeed, isn't it, Pallavi? But over to you for the latest. We've been tracking this development for the last few hours on how these two Indian ships back-to-back were allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. All of this a result of diplomatic negotiations that are underway at the top level. But what are we to expect the next few minutes?
So, Christine, there are two ships, essentially, the Shivalik and the Nanda Devi. The government has officially now confirmed has passed and crossed through the Strait of Hormuz with a large consignment of LPG, which should ease the situation further as far as the country's supply is concerned. But more specifically, the first good news is that anytime now, the Shivalik is likely to reach the Mundra port, Christine, with a huge supply of LPG gas. What the government has been saying consistently is that there have been backroom negotiations. India has been engaging with all the countries. We've also been reporting that our foreign minister has been in touch with his counterpart in Iran, and we've taken advantage of the good and equidistant good relationship that we enjoy with all the countries. Unlike crude oil, LPG has always been an area of concern. The government has been given repeated reassurances, Christine, don't worry. There's only going to be regularization and rationalization because we want to ensure that people don't hold up, they don't go into panic booking. And that is the kind of plea which has been coming in from the government. Now with this additional supply coming in from Shivalik, anytime now to be followed up by Nanda Devi a little later, we can expect more relief for our consumers, but more importantly for the commercial sector as well.
All right, so of course, as we are getting the information right now, it's the Shivalik which is set to reach the Mundra port in a short while from now. Very soon, we are going to see visuals of that as well. It's carrying, remember viewers, 46,000 metric tons of LPG. Along with the Nanda Devi.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. I'm Shivani Gupta. Let's get you a quick check of the top stories we're tracking at 1 p.m. Oil prices cross $100 a barrel amidst escalating geopolitical tensions. Russia warns crude could surge to $150 within 2 to 3 weeks. Iranian drone strike sparks massive fire near Dubai airport, forcing flight suspensions. Iran war threatens Gulf economies with their worst downturn since the 1990s. Shivalik is the first of the two vessels to reach India and is now approaching Mundra port after crossing the Strait of Hormuz. As the strait remains choked, Trump warns NATO allies the alliance could face a very bad future if members do not help secure and reopen vital oil route. Japan, Australia and France, though, say they have no plans to send ships. Chief executives from major U.S. oil companies warned the Trump administration that the global energy crisis is likely to worsen amidst geopolitical tensions. Iran-backed Houthis prepare to open a second front in the Red Sea, threatening to choke the Bab al-Mandeb Strait and disrupt oil and trade routes. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu releases a cafe video mocking viral death rumors, flashes 5 fingers to debunk claims. After Model Code of Conduct comes into effect, EC replaces 2 bureaucrats in Mamata Banerjee government, seeks report on cops responsible during post-poll violence in 2024. And Tamil Nadu CM reminds of bond between DMK and Muslims, says the party will always stand by them and their rights. BJP says it's a clear fight for vote bank, slams appeasement. Our top focus this afternoon: in a major diplomatic win, India's crude tanker Jag Ladki has safely sailed out of UAE's Fujairah port after Saturday's attack, carrying nearly 80,000 tons of Murban crude bound for India. This marks the third Indian-flagged vessel to escape the war zone unharmed. Meanwhile, Indian vessel Shivalik is expected to reach the Mundra port, while Nanda Devi is expected to arrive tomorrow. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has hailed talks with Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz, says that there's no blanket arrangement for Indian-flagged ships alone.
See flow through the Straits of Hormuz right now. There were 5 tanker ships that went through the straits last night, carrying liquid petroleum gas, liquefied natural gas, and crude oil. So we know flow through the Straits of Hormuz is possible. The risk is if Iran fires on those ships. A convoy flew through last night. Iran did not fire on them. Probably they made a deal with India.
This deal with India, how did it really come about? And why is it that India has managed to secure such a deal, if any, and not other nations? Now, that's the big question. Let me take that to our colleague Siddhant, also joining us from our newsroom. Because remember, there have been question marks over whether India stood by Iran enough or not. But even despite those questions that were raised domestically, especially in India, there has been nothing but great camaraderie between the two countries, to the extent that we know that Iran, in a way, has made some arrangements to ensure that Indian-flagged vessels can come to India. S. Jaishankar says there's no blanket rule for Indian-flagged vessels alone. But what has helped India secure this kind of passage?
Well, it's effective diplomacy. Two leaders spoke to each other. Prime Minister Modi spoke with President Pezeshkian. Foreign ministers spoke. India facilitated chartered flight, Iranian chartered flight, and sent the sailors on IRIS Lavan back to Armenia. And from Armenia, those sailors went safely to Iran. and India got two of its vessels transit through the Hormuz. In fact, we have the maps ready here, Shivani, for our viewers. In fact, I want you also to step in and explain to our viewers. This is Shivalik. It will be reaching Mundra port in next few hours, and right now this is Shivalik, and Shivalik is very close to the Mundra port. Maybe in couple of hours by 4:30 p.m. Like that's the ETA.
Can you just zoom it out a little bit, Siddhant? Just towards from the bottom. Zoom it out.
Yes.
Please.
Oh, we want with okay.
Yeah, just to show where exactly
Yes,
it is as
yeah.
far as this Gujarat coast is concerned. So it's very close to the Gujarat coast now. It's about to dock into the Mundra port, I believe, in the next hour or
Yes,
so.
yeah.
This will be the first such success. We've got another vessel coming in, arriving and docking tomorrow, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. So the another vessel is Nanda Devi.
Yeah.
So this is Nanda Devi, and it's,
This is a little bit farther away.
yeah,
right
it's a farther away right now. It will also be reaching Kandla port tomorrow, which is 17th of March. And the third vessel is this Jug Latki, and this is the route of Jug Latki sailing through Gulf of Oman. In fact, the Indian Navy vessels carrying out escorting missions in the Gulf of Oman for all these vessels. So it's been a big diplomatic win, Shivani, and also India has once again proven to the world that dialogue and diplomacy could be an option to find solution to such crisis.
Siddhant, because everybody's talking about how, regardless of which war is going on, India is able to balance its relationship with both sides. So what has really helped in securing this passage from Iran? Because those in India suggested that Iran would be upset with India, with the fact that India did not openly condole Khomeini's death in the first few days, etc. But Iran and Indian relationships continue to be strong.
Very strong. In fact, India has civilizational ties with Iran. There was definitely this narrative which was being peddled that India chose sides. India condemned Iranian strikes in the United Nations Security Council, etc., etc. Co-sponsored a resolution proposed by Bahrain. Those things were said. But the fact is that these are civilizational ties. And Prime Minister Modi spoke to President Pezeshkian. Both foreign ministers spoke 4 times, if I'm not mistaken. And when it was for India to show humanitarian gesture, the request came from Iran. They want their sailors back. They were in India. India accommodated them. And India said that, okay, we'll repatriate. Though India facilitated the Iranian flight, that flight first went to Sri Lanka. The mortal remains of those young sailors were put on the flight. Then this flight came to Kochi. India facilitated this all throughout, well coordinated. Then flight landed in Armenia, and that's how the sailors could reach home safely. So India, whenever it comes to humanitarian gesture, India is the first country. And you see, Shivani, people say a lot of things, but INS Lavan is safely docked in India. India is safely
And
protecting.
India did offer, even to the other ship, which was the
all the three ships were given permission. 2 of them could make to the dock. One was unfortunately bombed by the Americans, and now 2 of the ships are in the region. One is in Sri Lanka and the other is in India.
Siddhant, what our viewers would be most interested in knowing is, one, obviously nobody can predict how long this war goes on. It doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon. But will this kind of safe passage be routine now, so that energy and gas concerns in India don't go out of hand?
Well, won't say, as you rightly said, that there's no blanket exemption for India. But as I said, that it's a good start. And this start has also resulted in trust building between the two sides, India and Iran. So when even in fact, Iran also understands that how important energy is for India. So definitely, as I said, that confidence building has been done. There's a trust between the two sides. Both leaders are on the speed dial. Both foreign ministers are on the speed dial. There have been 4 or 5 times rounds of telephonic conversations. So even tomorrow also, if some vessel is, there are still 20 vessels, if I'm not mistaken, on east and the west of the Hormuz to be transiting through the Hormuz. So if needed, then again a call can be initiated and it can be done.
This will certainly go a long way in maybe assuaging some of the fears that are prevailing in India on what happens to those energy prices. One thing that can be said as far as India's position is concerned, that India is by no means untouched by any of the wars that have broken out in the last 3 to 4 years. It is certainly not untouched, even though not a participant in any of these wars, but it is able to walk the tightrope where It is affected like all other countries. It's a global economy, but it is not affected to the extent where its economy is under severe pressure or great pressure as well. We have some more breaking news coming in. Let's take a look. Chinese Foreign Ministry has released new statement. Chinese and US are in communication on Trump's visit. On Trump seeking assistance on the Strait of Hormuz, the statement says we are in communication with all sides. On Trump's threat to cancel the summit with Xi, communications are ongoing. So remember, there is a visit that is planned of Donald Trump in China with President Xi. A lot has been said about its connection to what is going on in the Middle East right now. But China says communication is ongoing right now and talks are on, whether it is going to go on or not. In fact, let me go across to my colleague Siddhant once again on this, because this summit or this meeting between the two leaders has also been kind of linked to what is happening. Many are seeing that this is, a preparation, what has happened in Iran via US and Israel, somehow a preparation and a ground setting for what could be the terms during the meeting with President Xi as well. Let me go across to my colleague Siddhant again. So, first tell us in detail of what this statement says.
Yeah, so right. So President Trump, day before yesterday, Shivani came up with this post on Truth Social saying that he wants China, France, United Kingdom, all these countries to step in and solve this crisis. In fact, he's asking all these countries to send the Navy ships and carry out escorting missions and maritime operations. And President Trump definitely seek China's intervention in solving, because China has leverage with Iran in terms of buying their energy, deep cooperation with Iran. So President Trump wants China to use this leverage. Now, there were multiple reports. In fact, we did carry one of those reports in our broadcast this morning, which says that President Trump is now threatening China in a way, saying that I will delay my visit to China if China will not be